This is the SF Productions Podcast Network.
The Emmys, where the stars nominate themselves.
From the Pop Culture Bunker, I'm Mindy.
And I'm Mark. You can check out our audio podcast, How I Got My Wife to Read Comics, on iTunes or on our website, sfpodcastnetwork.com. So, it's Emmy season.
Is it already?
It is, indeed.
Wow.
Have you got out your Emmy cards yet? No?
Yes.
The nominating ballots were posted in June, and this is just to vote on who gets nominated. So this is the nominations for the nominations.
Right. So we haven't had the big TV show yet where they announce who's nominated. This is pre that, where the stars are actually putting themselves in for their awards.
And they get to nominate themselves, which is very strange, I think. Most of them will never make it on the final ballot. And in fact, this is something that until recently was fairly secretive, but now because of the internet, now everybody can see it. They put it out there as a PDF. It's like, it's a laundry list of virtually everybody in a TV show.
Right. And the weird thing I find about Emmy nominations is you submit yourself, but you also submit like 2 episodes that you think were the best episodes for you.
Right.
So it's not based on your body of work at all. It's based on just what you choose to submit.
Exactly. Now, there's studio politics involved, as well as some various strategies to consider. You know, actually winning an Emmy can be a huge boost to your career. It's a very useful negotiating chip when it's contract time.
Right, especially for those shows where the casts don't hang together so well.
Right. So, in some cases, studios will let an actor put in their nomination, knowing they don't have a chance, just to placate them. It's like, well, yeah, sure, go ahead and do it. We don't care. So they can pick their category in terms of leading versus supporting. And there's no rules in place from the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences.
Right, as long as you're a regular on the show.
That's close enough.
Otherwise, like, you're a guest. I mean, even if you've appeared for like 2 minutes on a show, you're a guest.
Yeah.
And can be nominated for guest appearance.
And you'll see that happen a lot with movie stars will
Right.
come on and do, like, they'll do a Law and Order, for example. And maybe they won't even be in it on that long, but they'll be up for a nomination. So, in terms of leading versus supporting, if you think you have a better chance as a lead, but you're clearly a supporting actor, you can put yourself up as a lead.
Well, so in an instance where, like on a Modern Family or something like that, where there's a lot of women actors and a lot of men actors, and no one's clearly a lead,
Right.
that would be an instance where it's kind of a toss-up as to whether you apply for a
Exactly.
lead or a supporting actor.
Exactly. A couple people using this strategy. Jake Johnson, a New Girl, who I don't think that any of the guys on the show is a lead actor. To me, they're all supporting to her.
Right.
Rob Lowe on Parks and Rec. He's way down in the
That's
list as supporting.
Clearly a supporting role.
Yeah, and yet he's up there as a lead. Now, on the other side of the fence, there's Hayden Panettiere from Nashville, who put herself in as supporting, even though she's clearly one of the 2 leads in the show.
Yeah. Well,
but again, there's no rhyme or reason to it other than strategy.
yeah, so if you can get in a different category if Hayden can get in a different category than Connie Britton, then
That
they are
helps
not
their
competing
chances.
against each other.
Right. There's what's called the split vote, where you have multiple nominees from the same show. We're just talking about that. Sometimes we'll cancel each other out because people will split the vote between 3 or 4
Yeah.
people. Kutcher and Cryer for 2.5 Men, although Cryer has won several times. Why? I don't know. Parsons and Galecki on Big Bang Theory. This happened 2 years ago. They both put themselves up, and Parsons ended up winning, so it doesn't always hold true. Goodwin and Morrison on Once Upon a Time are both in that category. Now, I don't think they have a chance in the world.
And that's even more confusing because their first names are both Jennifer.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's also what we call the dead zone, and that is if you're an actor who died.
Right. John Ritter comes to mind for that
Yes.
one.
Yes. You're virtually a lock if you get nominated and it's time for the actual award, because this is clearly the last time you're going to have a chance to win.
Yes.
Posthumously. There's also the final season lock. Again, last chance to vote for a show. 30 Rock has a really good chance. The Office has a really good chance.
And any of the people on those shows who choose to nominate themselves might also have a better chance since it would be their last season. I think that Steve Carell stands a real good chance of winning an Emmy for a guest star on that final episode of The Office.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think you're right. Now, the networks have effectively been shut out of miniseries because they don't really do them much anymore.
Did they change that category somehow this year? I can't remember.
Miniseries or a movie, I believe.
Okay.
And now they've pretty much been shut out of dramas by HBO and Showtime and FX, and the whole issue about, well, there's all these restrictions of what broadcast television can do versus cable.
Yeah.
And in fact, the broadcast networks are currently petitioning the FCC to say, can you loosen up the rules because we're getting slaughtered out here.
Yeah.
And then you have some shows that became default miniseries, but only due to cancellation. Political Animals and The Hour both were going to be ongoing series, but both got canceled.
I don't remember either of those.
Yeah, they were out on in cable.
Oh, okay.
And so they decided, they're miniseries now.
Well, that's like Downton Abbey. Its first season was a miniseries and not a dramatic series.
Yeah, and mentioning that whole BBC PBS connection, aka Downton Abbey.
Yeah.
Shows that because of the BBC model, where they only do a handful of episodes each time, they can really craft them well.
Yes.
And so they have a much better chance from a quality perspective to do better than a network show that's cranking out 22 episodes.
Right.
Then you have genre shows, which really have no chance at the Emmys. Rarely do you see one win.
And it's really a shame because there was such good acting. On Fringe. Mm-hmm. Walter. I think Walter.
He did not even nominate himself.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And he really deserved.
No, he didn't. Joshua Jackson did nominate himself, but Anna Torv did not nominate herself. Because she's like, why bother? We're not going to win.
Yeah.
Why do the effort?
They certainly deserve. I mean, the acting on that was just. Even though I thought the show itself was not as good this year, the acting was really incredible.
Mm-hmm. Jennifer Goodwin, Once Upon a Time. Again, we mentioned her before. Genre show, why bother? There's people like Moon Bloodgood for Falling Skies, and Anna Paquin for True Blood, and Eddie McClintock for Warehouse 13, and Stephen Arnell for Arrow. None of these people have any chance in hell of winning. It's not going to happen.
And you wonder, too, about the shows themselves, because some of the shows were very good and hardly ever get nominated.
Right, exactly. There's a couple shows where they always put themselves in a certain category, but you say, really? You're in that category? And are these shows comedies? Is Glee a comedy? Is Nurse Jackie a comedy? And yet, they put themselves up as comedy each year because, again, they've done the numbers and went, well, we have a better chance of winning as comedy than we do as a drama.
Yeah, and I suppose, I haven't watched Nurse Jackie, and it supposedly is a dark comedy, but to me, that should be in the drama category.
Oh, my sides. So, probable locks here. Pretty much you're assuming Alec Baldwin, 30 Rock, his last year, he's won several times before. The Academy loves consistency. Once they vote for somebody, Tony Shalhoub is an example of this. For Monk, he won year after year after year.
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
Yeah. And another example of that, Modern Family.
Yeah, and it's a good show, but I don't know that it was the best comedy on the air this year.
Right. Then you have a few long shots. You have, and these are all names who nominated themselves, and you're like, why? Yeah,
but wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah, it would be great.
Wouldn't it be cool if Rod Corddry won for Children's Hospital? Yes. It would be like lightning strike you dead. But
right. There's Toby Turner, who was on the High Fructose Adventures of Annoying Orange on Cartoon Network.
Now, is that an animated series?
It's a mix of live action, and I know that because I had to read it up on the internet. I never heard of it. Tom Green, who was in Halo 4 Forward Unto Dawn, which, as far as I can tell, never even was broadcast anywhere. It was on the net, and that was it. Reba McEntire for Malibu Country, who didn't even bother submitting a photo, so somebody probably submitted on her behalf. After Lately, really? The Chelsea Lately after show? How to Live with Your Parents for the Rest of Your Life, which is currently burning off episodes this summer.
And that was a horrible show.
Yeah. Granite Flats, a show on BYU TV. 666 Park Avenue, which was canceled during its first season. Smash, really?
Well, maybe.
The client list? Come on, it's just not going to happen. Now, I mentioned a show that had never actually broadcast, which brings up the question, what happens with Arrested Development and House of Cards? People from those shows did nominate themselves. So they're both coming from Netflix.
And you watch Netflix on your TV.
Yeah, so is it part of the Academy? Apparently it was allowed.
I guess it would depend upon, because the Academy is sort of like a union, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
It is similar, yeah.
So if you have to, if your participation in the show makes you eligible to join the Academy, it should make you eligible for awards.
Right. So I don't know if they're going to have much of a chance. Especially, this is really the first year that that's happened.
But it's going to happen more, so
Right.
they have to establish some sort of precedent.
Right, exactly. And you look back at where the Emmys originally were. You had the Emmy Awards and you had the Cable Ace Awards.
Yes.
And the Cable Ace Awards was the rinky-dink show compared to the Emmys. And now the cable shows are pretty much winning most of the categories.
So you wonder if, they won't break apart again and you'll have a tiny little network award show.
Or maybe there won't be a televised Emmy show eventually. Because the networks are like, oh, this is the big ad for cable.
And we wanted it to be a big ad for our show.
Exactly, that was the whole point. Now, the nominations will be announced on July 18th.
Probably really early in the morning.
Yes, the deadline for the final ballots to actually be turned in is August 30th. The awards are on September 22nd, which is very late, frankly. It's usually much earlier in September. I'm
usually
not sure why.
It starts the TV season.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll watch it when it's on and have another show about it.
Right.
And in the meantime, you can check out our audio podcast, How I Got My Wife to Read Comics, me, I'm the wife, on iTunes or on our website, sfpodcastnetwork.com. From the Pop Culture Bunker, I'm Mindy.
And I'm Mark. Thanks for watching.
Bye.